Hello guys, welcome back with me movie film recap, watch out spoiler ahead. Today we are gonna review a movie named Last Survivors. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the story. In the beginning of the movie, we were shown a scene with a guy who seemed to be fishing in the lake. To be exact, in the middle of forest far away from city civilization. That guy named Jake. He lives in the cabin deep in the forest with his father. Isolated from the outer world. Jake was told by his father named Troy that it is dangerous outside the forest. His father even told him that if every strangers come near close to their perimeter, he should kill them right away. He brought his catch to their cabin and put the fish into the drum smoker. He then met his father doing their weapon sharpened. Suddenly, they heard a sound as they assumed there must be an intruder entering their perimeter. His father after the strangers and he told Jake to stay and protect the cabin even though Jake insisted to come and hunt the strangers together, but his father didn't give him a chance because he thought that was the best for them. Jake forcefully obeyed his father's order to stay. Tension on the scene has risen up, Troy after the strangers, while Jake obviously seemed to be very anxious inside the cabin, waiting for the next 30 minutes, that if his father didn't show up, then he must look after him outside. Jake was ready with his gun inside the cabin. 30 minutes passed, Jake heard a gunshot, so he decided to go and catch up his father. Troy did kill the strangers, Jake saw the strangers dying. Laying on the ground, he saw on his necklace at once then he came to his father, asked if he was okay. Troy said he was fine until Jake found a wound on his stomach. Jake got sulky and he yelling to the stranger that he was a jerk, but suddenly the strangers awake and told Jake to tell his daughter that he loved her so much. Jake stunned a while, the stranger's really gone dead after saying that. Then Troy told him to bury him away. As they arrived to the cabin, Troy's wound was getting treated with minimal equipment available in their cabin. But the infection was getting worse as they already losing up the medicines and another equipment to treat Troy. Jake was so panicked and worried for his father. So, Jake decided to go outside to search the required medicines for his father. Troy reminded him to kill every stranger he met outside even though if it is a woman, a child. He should kill all of them. Well, I am gonna say Troy's character is definitely an extremist and a radicalist person whatever his mental or physical health background is, I think he definitely has crossed the line. Thinking that every human is dangerous that he should kill them right away without getting any conversation or even get close too near them. Jake can only say yes because all of what he thought was to find the medicines as fast as he can. He then go out of the forest, seeking a place that probably has the medicines. Along the trip, he remembered the time when his father and him making the perimeter because his father worried that there will always be a dangerous intruder or robber who can put them in danger. He then found a house, he looked around first to see if the situation okay. Suddenly he saw a woman there, he quickly hid himself behind the tree and would not hesitate to kill her. He put his gun pointing directly to the woman from distance and was ready to shoot her, but he stunned a while and put his gun down, not willing to kill her. Time changed to night, Jake sneaked into the house looking for the medicines he searched for. Suddenly the woman came into the room suspiciously looking around because she felt if there was an intruder there. Jake did hide, later that on when the woman was gone, he immediately go from there. The scene moved to the cabin where Jake finally made out to his cabin, he then took the medicines he got and give it immediately to Troy. Jake told Troy that it is not what he told him, there was no perimeter or gun he referred to the place he went earlier, but his father kept denied it and said every person has gun. The next day, Jake took the man's stuff he saved when he buried him. He saw a girl portrait and he thought that maybe that is his daughter he was talking about. Jake realized that he had to come back there, then he purposely hid their food reserve which is deer meat to get reason to go out there. Later, he told his father that they were lacked of food. The rest meat is not enough for the upcoming winter. His father then allowed Jake to go for a hunt with an order not to go to the village and keep away from the outsider human that he thinks they were more dangerous. In the other time, inside the woman's house, she was cooking and chilling around listening some music. The atmosphere were so chill until Jake popped up and pointing his gun directly to the woman. The woman get panicked and scared so she asked Jake if he wants something, but Jake asked her first if there was somebody else in the house or not. Then she said there was no one but herself. She tried to calm him down and it worked. She offered him to get shower first, before they could talk. He agreed. He went to the bathroom and started to get shower. The woman named Henrietta quickly run to her room to make a call, but she shocked hearing Jake scream downstairs, so she quickly run towards him. It is only that Jake didn't know how to turn off the heat because the water was too hot. She gave him direction to turn off the heat. As Jake concentrately shower, she entered the bathroom and sneakily took his gun and hid it into the drawer. A few minutes later, Jake realized that his gun was gone, so he immediately went to Henrietta, asked where his gun is, and threatened her with a knife he had. She challenged him to kill her right away, but he couldn't. So, she asked him if he trusts her, give her his knife then. Jake did give her his knife. After get dressed, Jake had dinner with her. She gave him a bowl of soup. He admitted that this was the first time he ate it and he seemed to be really excited for that. They started a comfy conversation. After that, Jake told her he really needed to go for hunting, otherwise his father will find it suspicious if he went too long. Then, Henrietta gave him a big frozen meat and told him to sleep over until the storm passed. And tomorrow morning, Jake immediately asked for leave to her and said thanks. Shortly he arrived at the cabin. His father gave him a lot of question about the frozen meat and why he did take too long trip. Jake managed it, lying to his father. Henrietta went to the police station to report Jake's visit into her house. She just want to know his identity, especially with his father. On the other side, Jake started to make a soup in the cabin. He was affected by Henrietta's food and wanted to try something new. But he argued with his father about it and he found that his father's lessons are not logical. He then admitted that he didn't kill the woman and he told his father that he needs her to have a life to continue what they started. But his father still had his paranoia for not letting him go. Jake came back to Henrietta, they started to share things. Jake told her how to survive, how to make some preps, how to make a traps and perimeter for their own security, and they got real closer into each other. The next day, Jake asked her to leave with him. Go to the cabin and make a new life, but Henrietta refused. She felt it was just too hurry and she had something to do personally on that day that Jake shouldn't have come. Jake left immediately with angry. She later go to the police station and gathered more information about Jake's background. She found out that Jake was kidnapped by his father and his mother were killed by his own father. That unfortunately, it turned out that whole this time, Jake only knew that his mother was murdered by the chaos and lack humanity after war that his father always mentioned about. On the afternoon, Henrietta went to the town and she surprisingly had a meeting with her ex-husband discussing their differences and how things would work, especially with the kids, that clearly his ex-husband won't let their children with her, assuming that she needed to go to doctor for giving her life only to feel alone in the countryside like that area. Jake followed her and he glanced around the city that he never seen before. He was startled about all of that. They were both arguing until they left out of the cafe. Jake saw them and he immediately attacked her ex-husband. He thinks that she was cheating and the reason she moved there, not because the healing she was told about, but to go with a guy. Things get messed up. Henrietta tried to explain that to her ex-husband, but he left not listening to her. Henrietta got mad to Jake and told him to leave her alone, but Jake had nothing idea where they is, so Henrietta put him in her pickup vehicle. As they arrived at Henrietta's house, they both argued, and finally she told him the truth about his kidnapping and about his mom and frankly about the war. The fact that there was no war at all in the past. And it was all a lie, that Troy told him they should isolated themselves in the forest. Jake got startled, he then went away back to the cabin. He then met his father, asked him about the whole truth, but Troy always get the answer, and he asked Jake back if it was worthy leaving him for that woman. Jake brought him a pamphlet with a portrait of the man Troy killed in the first place. Troy asked if she knew, Jake remained quiet. Troy told him to kill her only to protect them. Told Jake that was the best option, to protect them from the outsider world. Jake kept quiet and Troy told him they will move before the night comes. As the time goes, Jake told his father that he would never kill her. Troy got mad, but then he suddenly remained calm and asked Jake to follow him as he had something he wanted to show to him that he had never told Jake before. But he locked and trapped Jake in the storage room and said he would not gonna let Jake cross his will to kill her. Troy went out of the forest immediately to kill Henrietta. On the other time, the police knew about Jake's attack on her ex-husband. They decided to find Jake, but Henrietta said that it was just a misunderstanding and Jake was a good person. The police offered her an escort, but she refused and said it was okay, she didn't need it. Jake made it to come out of the storage room by breaking the side walls and he quickly ran off the forest towards Henrietta's house. As she arrived at her house, she found out that the police followed her behind. Jake arrived and pointing a gun to the police, but Henrietta told him they are fine, they are food people and here to help. But then suddenly the other police got shot by Troy. They panicked, the old police quickly trying to find the suspect, and swept the area. Jake approaching her asked if she was okay. He explained to her that it was his father's doing. He wanted to kill her, so he went to protect her. He told her to hide away, and she said she got preps to protect her. Jake left her to get his father. But his father already murdered the other police. Jake, after his father to the warehouse, told him that it shouldn't have to be like this. Suddenly, Troy hit him on the back. Jake passed out. He then went inside Henrietta's house to find her. He cursed her, as if she was a snake, poisoned his son. He thought she was in the upstairs, but she was hiding inside the warehouse for the whole time. She then ran towards her vehicle, but Troy saw him from the upstairs pointing his gun directly to her. When he was about to shoot her, Jake ran towards him, and a gunshot missed through the car window. Troy fell off from the upstairs and got stabbed by the sharpened woods that she put in front of her house. Troy was dying on the ground. Henrietta got off the car, so was Jake. He approached his father. He was tearing. Troy said he loved him and told Jake to kill him. Jake said no, but he forced him by saying it is not a democracy. He then gave Jake a gun. Jake quit half-heartedly and sadly shot his father's head. Both Henrietta and Jake were crying. Few days passed, their cabin was found out by the police and Jake started a new life with a new perception of life. He opened a letter from Henrietta. She told him that now she realized one day, if she continues with her issue, she might be ended up like his father. So, she decided to come back to her family. She thanking him a lot for the lesson she learned. What an amazing movie. It makes me think of all the perspective. Never let your paranoia controls you and leave humanity behind. That's all for today's video. We'll see you on the next review.